Welcome back to the Crooked Spine Show interview with Dan Metcalfe. I want to see exactly how do we get to our human potential as soon as we can and maintain that that's the plan. Most people, for example, they have home workout equipment that becomes their home decor. Dan Metcalfe's total balance training equipment gives you a way to transform your body no matter what present a level of health you are. When combining this with the 7 pillars of health, Dan Metcalfe's method, you have all the physical and mental tools to reach your human potential and human state. Now let's talk to Dan to understand how he can help how he has reached thousands of people already and how he can help you. Dan, welcome to my show. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dr. Tony, thanks so much for being here. And I just wanted to say, I went on Yelp. I do my reviews as well, and you got the greatest reviews in there. And the one that really stood out for me was a gentleman that had said that you focus on health. It's not just solving a momentary problem, and that you check up and keep tabs on health, fitness, wellness. And I really admire you and respect you and your practice for doing that, because so many times we just treat a momentary problem, but we're not increasing the value of life. So congratulations.
Thank you. You know, I have so many good reviews on Yelp and Google reviews too, Dan. You know why?
Because you care.
I care, and I know where they live.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
I will find them and ask for a better review. And that's the biggest thing, that, as you know, besides the question stuff, it's not about treating someone's back or neck. It's their what got them there, how to get them better, keep them better. And sometimes it's mindset, sometimes it's other personal stuff too. But figure out where, like you do, figure out where they are in health and get to the next level. Now, give them hope they can get better health-wise so you can maintain. I tell them, you're your best doctor for your health. Take care of you, but I'll give you the tools and use me as a guidance. Use Dan, especially Dan as guidance. He has experience and knowledge more than I do outside of chiropractic, to help someone get healthy and stay healthy and maintain those habits so it stays part of your life for the rest of your life.
Well, there's something that you brought up very good, and we'll have our first, not conflict here, but discussion.
Perfect.
I don't believe in hope. See, I'm not a hope person. I can for other people. So I hope you have a great day, Dr. Tony. But for myself, hope is a procrastinatory word, right? I'll sit there. I hope I'll get better. I hope someone helps me. I hope they discover something that I don't have to do the work most of the time. I have to go with the word belief. Because when we believe we have a better future, that becomes actionable. And then we can step in and take do the work that we need to do, because the magic we seek is in the work we avoid. And so once we turn around and say, I believe I'll get better, now we'll step over the start line. And I don't believe at all that we look at the destination. That's our goal. That's our dream. But it's one step at a time that takes us on a journey we don't know. That's where it comes from. So that's my philosophy and how I teach and get people to believe in themselves.
It's almost taking them once, like you said, one step at a time, see the result of one action. Okay, now what else can we do? What else can we do? At that point, get them to go, you see the big picture already. That's you see in your head when you talk to someone for maybe 2 minutes what the picture is, but then how do you get them to go, like you said, see that picture and then see the action plan to get there. And then so they say, oh, how did I get here? Because you did one thing at a time.
Yeah, and it's finding the right team or the right information, because that we become our environment. And the most important environment we'll ever build is the one inside ourselves, because then we'll either eliminate those that are contaminating us or welcome in those that believe in us as much as we believe in us. And so many times people are looking for someone else to push them or hold their hand. And I look at it every day. We're in the game of life, and we know performance is 80 to 90% mental on the field. We're in the game of life. We're playing a game. And a fighter that wants better doesn't send the cut guy or the coach or the trainer or the corner man into the ring. You stand there and you take those punches and you find out how to win. And at the same time, those people are behind you saying, I'll help you, I'll guide you, but I believe in you. And we've got to put ourselves first.
And you have to do the work on your own, no matter who is behind you. You have to feel sometimes the pain, the stress, the pressure to realize that's just part of life.
Yep. So
you got to get to do it. And what led you, Dan, to get to this level of fitness, mental state, everything else too? What was your experience in your past that got you here?
Well, I really shouldn't be here talking about this if my life had gone where I thought it was going to go and where I was working for. So I'd gone from, being at professional soccer clubs, football clubs back in England, where I thought I was going to be a professional footballer for my life, and then suddenly switching because I found out I didn't love it anymore. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And then going into show business, I became a professional dancer. I was doing ballet, jazz, tap modern, which is an interesting story we don't have time for today. But I ended up very quickly getting to play the lead in Andrew Lloyd Webber shows. For those that don't know, Andrew Lloyd Webber did Cats, Phantom of the Opera, Jesus Christ Superstar, Starlight Express, Joseph, so many top Broadway and West End shows. Well, during a show that I was performing actually in Las Vegas, I fractured my spine. I was paralyzed, and the doctor said that I'd be disabled for life. So suddenly, where I was perceived as this theater, lead actor and life going great, I was suddenly left in a wheelchair, learning to walk again, trying to figure out how not to be the prognosis that I was given.
It almost it turned your future in your mind probably 180. Could now it's a blank slate. That's not going to ever happen again. Now what is it going to do?
Oh, absolutely.
How did you recover from that? How did you recover that? Was it more of a mental challenge at that point, or more I got to do this step and slowly get myself better to where I can actually walk in and move again? What was your recovery like?
Yeah, well, it actually took me back to a story before I got into Andrew Lloyd Webber's shows. My dad, on the day before I ever started, training at the theatre school, Lane Theatre Arts, I had never seen a show before. My dad took me to see Starlight Express, and I had no idea I'd ever be in that show. But at the end of the show, my dad looked at me and said, what do you think? I was like, oh, this is incredible. It was the most incredible show. Even to this day, I'd still, go back and do it again. Yeah. But I said it was incredible. And he said, one day you'll be in that show. And I said, I'll never be good enough. And he said 8 words that changed my life that I live by. He said, somebody has to do it. Why not you? Somebody has to do it. Why not you? Now, I just got on and did it. I just, without consciously knowing that seed had been planted. When I went through my injury and paralysis, I already had a mindset of, well, I'm going to overcome this. Somebody's going to do it. Why not you? And everybody watching, everybody listening, everybody tuning in later will turn around and go, somebody is going to heal. We're born to heal. We're made to heal. But I didn't know that's what I was living at the time. I just had the mindset. And I was like, the doctors may know the body, but they don't know the spirit. They don't know me. And I'm not going to accept what somebody that doesn't have the most interest in me is going to limit my life, because we become what we think and what we believe. And so it was a slow process over 6 months of learning how to use my fingers again, putting a nut on a screw. But I had a vision. I knew where I wanted to go. I didn't come to America to leave disabled. I came to America to live my dream. And this was not going to stop me.
It's amazing when you have that type of mindset and those mantras that help you get to that next level, and obviously where you are now. What started your process to improve other people's health after your own?
Well, I went on, during my recovery, I started coaching because I couldn't get back on stage. They wanted to disable me for life, and I wouldn't sign the paperwork because I wanted to keep every option open down the road, but they wouldn't let me back on stage, obviously. And I wasn't ready to go back. So I started coaching soccer because I had to start earning some income from a chair. And very quickly became a head coach on the Olympic development program for Nevada, then transferred to California. I trained, hundreds, if not thousands of soccer players, had the #1 nonprofit for kids in the nation at one point, over 40 players into the pros and over 400 into college. So I started getting into the active world, but then I became a personal trainer at Powerhouse Gym, at Gold's Gym, some different gyms. And I always got the people that weren't fit, that weren't healthy, that were accident recoveries, because none of the trainers wanted to touch somebody that didn't look good, right? It's a risk, but also supposedly fun. So I realized from what I had gone through, I understood recovery. I understand time frames. I understand you can't go from A to Z, and A to B may take longer than S to Z because we've got to get the foundation work going.
Got it.
But this is where it gets really exciting. I opened my own sports performance training gym where I had international soccer players and athletes flying in from around the world, local people coming in. And it was all based on movement, because I'm a huge fan that movement is the key, provided we're balanced with movement, and we will lose our balance if we don't keep moving.
Nice.
But that's the key to longevity, with other things as well. There's no one thing alone that will stand and do it. But movement has been proven that if you have good balance and keep moving, you will live 8 years longer than those that don't. And this is a studied information data. This isn't just throwing something in the air and trying to come up with a number. They did tests and studies following people for over 10 years from 60 and older, over 1,300 people. And those that tested at the beginning with good balance and kept moving lived 8 years longer, bar an injury. Well, there was a gentleman that came in called Bob Eubanks.
Mm-hmm.
People may know Bob Eubanks from the Newlywed
I know he is.
yeah, Rose Parade, and great guy, absolutely great guy. He was 79. He was falling a lot. And anyone that's fallen or has a fear of falling knows they're going to spend more time sitting down, less time active. It is a gradual speeding up decline. But even more, Bob woke up every morning fearful of the day ahead because you didn't know what it held for you as far as accidents or injuries. So I said to Bob, let me train you. You know, I'm a trainer, I'm a master trainer, head coach on the Olympic development program, all these different things. And in 2 minutes, I found out I was doing everything 100% wrong. Because Bob, I put him in these sports ladders like athletes have, you know, the ladders where you put in, out, and all that stuff. He couldn't do it. He couldn't lift his feet. I said, okay, let's put your hands against the wall. Let's start lifting your knees. Let's strengthen the hip flexors. Because any great trainer will tell you, strengthen your legs, strengthen your hip flexors, strengthen your core. You'll move better. You have better balance. You'll walk better. It's 100% wrong. And I faced a lot of backlash. But because that's what we've always been taught. Society taught us this is it. And so we just accept it. When Bob put his hands against the wall, his legs moved like a gazelle. I mean, he was incredible. Took his hands off, they wouldn't move. So the problem is not the body. So I went back and started investigating and study babies learning to walk, what's going on. It all comes from the brain. Balance, movement comes from the brain. Strength, stamina, and endurance comes from muscles. But movement comes from the brain. And as we age or do less or have neurological disease like Parkinson's, or I work with so many amazing Parkinson's, fighters, MS, ataxia, stroke survivors, we need to work the brain out.
Nice.
And it's very simple for me to explain this. If weight training, strength training was movement and balance, why don't we take babies to the gym? We don't. Babies stand up and start falling and learning to stand and balance and move and fall because it's the brain through the proprioception and our neural pathways that govern it. And we have people all over the world that have never stepped foot in a gym, but at 80, 90, they're still walking the mountains.
It's almost, you don't need the environment. You need the movement, like you said, movement and I guess continued balance training with movement, so your body and brain work together to coordinate those receptors that are continuing to build no matter how old you are, or they stop working if you stop working those type of that type of movement or balance.
Your age is never the reason. Of course, there will be more tiredness. So I still race. I still get out and train really hard. What I've noticed is my training's just as hard. My recovery is more my focus.
There
and
you
so
go.
now I get what's happening to my body. It's not going to recover as quickly. So what is my training plan? And I've trained people at 80s, 90s that have been phenomenal because we don't just look at the workout. We look at the workout and the post-workout and the rest days. And what are we doing through that? So this what was crazy. Bob was 79. It took me about 3 weeks of training him after I discovered that it was the brain issue. And it's all of us, right? All of us with brain. The older we get, the less we move and the less we play, because we don't stop playing because we age because we stop playing. And so I got Bob to play again. I got him to start moving, releasing the fear in the brain, which is what I really focus on, because when we're fearful, There's a part in the cerebellum. I'm going to this just a little bit technically, but not
I'm good with it.
Yeah. So there was a study that came out from Bristol University back in England, and we know the cerebellum is the biggest part of the control center for movement. But there's many different parts that get involved as well of the brain. But what we didn't know was in the cerebellum, there's a part called the pyramis, and that stores memory of accidents when we've moved. And so we know if you walk to the edge of a sidewalk and there's no cars coming, you stop, you look, you keep going, you can walk really fast and just stop. But if you walked at the same pace to an edge of a cliff, which had a 200-foot drop, you would approach it slower. Not because you couldn't stop. The brain goes, I'm in danger. So the brain slows down the body from moving. In the pyramis, it goes to the PAG that would then say, I'm in danger. The fight or flight stress freeze mode comes on and we move slowly. So when someone's fallen and now they're scared of falling, you will not react as quickly because your brain is stopping you from moving so quick. So then we have that decline of doing less. We become linear in our motions. We're not engaging all the proprioception pressure points from feet through the legs and all the relative muscles. And so we have to release the fear in the brain and really in the cerebellum. And that's what I created. So Bob at 79 went from what I call the senior shuffle, hunched over, staring at the ground, focusing just on that, which actually slows our brain from working as well. In 3 weeks, he was running 6 miles an hour on a treadmill, running up and down stairs, back out playing golf, walking with his dog in the morning, in and out the car. But the biggest difference was that he woke up excited for the day ahead and the years ahead, because I believe our best memories should be ahead of us.
Almost you were able to get the fear out of his head, the anxiety, I want to call it, the false fear that he couldn't do anything, or if I take one more step, I'm going to fall again. I the same thing. Senior shuffle is almost, I tell my patients, I don't want to hear your feet in my office. Pick your feet up. Let's go. Let's move things around. For 1, 2. How did you get him there? What was the training involved to get there?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I had to discover this over the weeks, but I saw so much progress from him that the result, that the program was becoming self-evident. So what I did was I created a balance board that Bob would never have got on. Anyone with a balance issue is not going to get on a balance board. No. So I made it safe, because balance training is not about how far can I go and then come back. Balance training is how quickly does the brain recognize when I'm off center to correct it before I'm conscious of it. So we're constantly in a state of going off balance, but I have to bring people back to the center. So again, before we're conscious, the brain is already recognizing that I'm slightly off balance, and we keep correcting. Well, the problem was, anytime you get on a board, there's a fear sensor that goes off on the brain that goes, I could fall. So we hesitate. So yeah, exactly. And so I created these handles. I patented this whole training system of handles that go into the board, because as soon as your hands held on, the brain goes, I'm safe. I have spatial awareness. I have a center. I have more support. And even though all the work's being done by your legs and your feet and the sensory messaging going back to the brain of what needs to happen, the hands being on the poles allowed him to even close his eyes in doing it, because we had a sense of safety. And when the brain felt safe, it allowed the flow of everything to happen. It was incredible.
It's almost like you're using the whole body. And like you mentioned something earlier too, is you want that fast response system to kick in, so someone doesn't feel like they have to catch themselves going here, then come on way back over here. So rather than getting your hands feet together, you're in the whole body coordinate that whole process. So that cerebellum is working extra hard to get those neuroreceptors pushing more and more and more and more. You're accelerating that healing process.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, when you start looking at the whole process, it's not just the messaging going from the brain out, because that's I want to know. That's actually not where the brain comes in. It's the sensory messaging of when we do something, how quickly does it go back to the brain? And when it goes back to the brain quickly, how quickly can the brain process that information and make the changes? And it's incredible the speed we do it, because everybody here has walked down the road on a cell phone, looking in a shop window, holding a conversation, an ambulance going by, people arguing, dog chasing the cat, whichever it is, and we never take our balance, ever. And that's how quickly every step is processed and then corrected or enforced by the brain. And it's the sensory messaging going back. But when we have fear, the sensory messaging will go back slower because the brain's blocking the processing and the reaction time. So I created this board and then a program with over 300 exercises on it that really changed Bob's life. And I've gone on and since then trained Shirley MacLaine, and she was incredible. And world record holders, athletes, not people that have balance issues, but people that want to have better balance or preventative. If I do this 10 minutes 3 times a week, my balance and processing of information from brain to body and body to brain will increase, and you will not decline in the way that you would just by regular walking. It's incredible. It's like going to the gym for the brain.
It's not an elliptical either. It's almost like you had mentioned. It's almost like I was looking at your system. It gets the whole body moving all directions. So it's a complete, I want to call it confusion to get clarity. So your brain and body work together faster, back and forth.
Well, I can go into this even more from a science point of view without getting scientific. But we talk about how one of the tests that I really don't agree with, I think it's a good base finder, but it's not a true relay of balance, is stand on one leg and hold your balance. Okay, you can do it for 10 seconds. Great, your balance is good. The thing is, when we stand on one leg without trying to not fall, we really only use 3 parts of the brain. It's the frontal lobe that turns around and goes, don't move. It's the cerebellum that's going, don't move. And it's the corpus callosum, the connection between the right and left side of the brain, that's saying, don't move. So we're really trying to freeze and not move. Only 3 parts of the brain are involved. As soon as we start doing something different, and this is where I got all the training on the board, what happens to the brain. But if I said stand on one leg and now pretend you're a tree, like we did as kids, and wave like how far actually, now we have 18 parts of the brain become involved. Because now the brain's trying to figure out, how do I keep my balance? And we open up neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity allows us to challenge the brain to learn and create new neural pathways that increase the quality of our life. It's so simple. And this is where it kind of frustrates me that the simplicity often gets ignored because we're looking for the miracle fix, but you're already the miracle. Our brain is the greatest technology in the world. You got a miracle inside waiting to be unleashed, but we don't engage it, or we don't want to do the work. We prefer to take a pill that numbs us down.
That's the issue. It's almost like, is there alternatives? I'll do the easy thing versus the hard thing until the easy thing doesn't work anymore. Besides someone who's famous, Bob and everybody else, have you mentioned earlier working with Parkinson's? Who else can benefit from this?
Well, I've got to tell you a story from my mum, because this is what greater gift could a son have than give life back to their mother. And my mum, like Bob, she was 79. She'd had a stroke a year before, and I went back for her 80th birthday. She hadn't told me she had a stroke. And so she didn't want to worry me. I'm in Los Angeles. She's back in England. Mother's never.
Why worry my son?
Yeah, exactly. And so I went back for her 80th, and she was moving a little stiffer. She had some stiffness in her face, but I hadn't seen her in 4 years. So I'm thinking, as we're told, you're just getting older. And so she took me and my brother and sisters into a room and said, look, I had a stroke a year ago. Just wanted to let you know. I said, Mum, you're doing great. I said, I would never know, except I thought it was aging. What's the hard thing? She goes, well, her passion was line dancing. She grew up wanting to be a dancer, and because of the war, she couldn't. And so I said, what happened? She goes, I had to give it up. And my mum's a doctor, just so you know. She's a doctor. She's on Harley Street back in England, and fantastic lady. And she turned around and she goes, well, when I try and move, I can't move fast enough. Like my right foot won't move. So either people turn into me and knock me over, or I'm a danger to them. So I stopped. This was the one thing that was for her that she loved. So this board was never made to sell. It was never made as a product. I just made it to help Bob. But he had so much success that people were saying, could you do this? Could you do this? Can you get this going? Well, I went back and made another one for my mum out of wood. It took a couple of days to make, sent it to her. 5 days after getting that board and doing the program, she went back to line dancing because all we did was reconnect. Now, this is where it gets even better. My mum's dream was to be a ballet dancer. She had never had a ballet class in her life, and she had never ridden a bike in her life. At the age of 84, my mum came to visit me in Los Angeles. She took her very first ballet class ever. And this isn't just holding on to something. This is a full ballet class with the bar work in the center, doing all her, not grand jetés, but the pliés and all the different moves that she was doing. And then she rode a bike for the first time at the age of 84. So if anybody tells me you're too old, I would tell you my father went to the doctor and said, my right leg's hurting. And he goes, well, Malcolm, it's because you're getting older. And my dad said to him, well, my left leg's the same age. How come that one's not hurting? And I love it.
Good rebuttal. Good rebuttal.
Yep. I love it. So we can have that. MS. My girlfriend has, diagnosed with MS. She'd take her 10 minutes to go 10 feet on a walker. Now she's running 10 miles an hour on a treadmill, climbing 40-foot trees. She started ballet, 5 years after she had her first episode and relapse. We've got stroke survivors, incredible, because again, we're re-engaging the brain. But I also love it, using it for children that have a genesis of the corpus callosum, where balance is an issue, because we can train the brain to go through there. Like I said, professional athletes, and this is where it gets really tough. When you have a product, and again, this was never made to sell, this was just made to help Bob Eubanks, but the success was so great, more and more people wanted it, and then it became a product. But if you've got a brain and a goal, you can improve. Like I said, it's just testing and challenging and taking it through. And the hard thing for me is they say, have your focus group, know who your audience is. And so right now I work in an incredible program called Energy for Life, which is a Dr. Greg Eckel, who focuses on Parkinson's patients. Every single one of his Parkinson's patients that join his program have to have the board as part of the program. Okay. I teach a couple of times a month for them. And I'll go online, hundreds of people are showing up with the board live online. And then there's the scientist that works, Dr. Becky Farley with Parkinson.org. She saw it and she said, everybody with Parkinson's should have this board because of the impact it has to fight back against neurological decline. So it's really hard because when I look at it and go, this could be great for everybody, but don't focus on everybody. I have to help everybody that needs it and wants it.
And you're allowing yourself to be the core of that. And at that point, let others take the realms on training individual people, but you have the core equipment to actually let them do that, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. And again, I'm not the miracle worker, right? When people say, Dan, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a dream builder. I help people build dreams forward, things that they want to do. Mm-hmm. And the miracle is them. Everyone I work with, the results are because of them. I just give them the tools and the information and the education and the programs, but I'm doing nothing more than that. The miracle, we are born superhuman. We're born to heal. We're made to heal if we give the body the right resources and the brain the right information to go to work.
And talk to me about the Metcalfe Method. What is that? I think you've talked a little bit about it already, but just more, I guess.
Yeah, it's really, how do we tap into the brain side? I have the 7 pillars in Born Superhuman of natural health. Mm-hmm. And so the Metcalfe Method is physical, brain to body, body to brain training that's so specific by keeping us safe, allowing the neurological system to flow, and the mindset of who am I? Because when we were kids, we had these dreams and nothing stopped us until someone impregnated our mind to believe in somebody else's mission and take away our own goals and dreams. And so that's why it was so important for me to build the Metcalfe Method, which is the physical brain to body, body to brain, as I said, but the mindset that if you're willing to do the work, everything is possible to better than where you are today.
And then with that, how do you, I guess, promote that? It's a great philosophy. And then what does it take someone to, and again, it's hard to make everyone the average to accept that and then actually take the action to change their life to become the dream that they want to be?
Well, the first thing you have to do is, so I have the 7 pillars of natural health.
Mm-hmm.
There is no one thing that's everything. And little changes each day or a little change over a course of time will still give you positive results. And we know, because of the neurochemicals that are released in our mindset, that when things begin to get better, we then turn around and we're willing to invest into them a little bit more. Where we begin to fall is when we don't have the consistency of doing it. So we start with feeling great, we're on a diet, we're losing weight, and then suddenly we go back to eating the bad food. So within each of my pillars, I teach little bits and pieces at a easy to understand level. This is not about me. If I can't relay my message to the person listening because it's either too high level or because I'm trying to prove how great I am, I've failed in my mission. My mission is, how do I make it so simple that people don't just believe it, they trust in themselves and they're willing to take the step. And that's why with the book I've got, Born Superhuman, the 7 pillars of natural health, and then the other book, Get Your Balance Back, I go into how it works, because information is knowledge and knowledge is power. And we are, as I said earlier, we are what we think. And if we put the wrong information in, the brain will only do what we tell it. Give it more power, the brain will function better.
And talk about how important challenges are in your 7 pillars as part of someone's getting to their superhuman, they're born superhuman.
Yeah, I love that you brought challenges up. It's the one that really stands out because the others are obvious. If I go through them really quick, number 1 is oxygen. If we're not breathing and breathing better, we either affect our emotional state or we die. Number 2 is hydration. More than 75% in the latest studies, 75% of adults in America are in a chronic state of dehydration. And to emphasize that, when I was a head coach on the Olympic program, we knew roughly 3% dehydration can lead up to 20% underperformance. That's brain and body. So if we are in a chronic state of dehydration, our body and our brain are not working. Number 3 is sleep. Sleep is critical. How do we get more sleep? And we're not all the same. It's not that everyone has to sleep 8 hours, 9 hours. We have to know who we are and then how we function. Some people are night owls. So you can't turn around to a night owl and say, no, you got to sleep. We say, how do we get the recovery the body needs during that time? Number 4 is nutrition. Nutrition's critical, but not as critical as hydration, because if you don't drink for 40 days, you're gone. But you can not eat for 40 days and still be alive. So I do it in an order of importance. And I have a great tip that I talk about in the book as well. One word changed me from going from a 21.2% body fat to an 8.2% body fat without changing anything in my life. It was one word. And I'm glad you've given me the opportunity to share this here. When we're hungry, what do? It's one word. Right. So we eat. So I would grab the cookies. I love cookies.
Right there. Yeah. Right there.
There you go. That's not a good thing to admit, but thank you for admitting it. But I'm going to change your life today, right? We're going to change just on one word. So cookies, cake, chips, we say in England, the breads, all the stuff, because we're hungry, we eat. Well, I changed that one word from hearing it from another expert. Okay. Instead of the word eat, put the word into your brain, nourish. That's it.
Got it. Right? Got it. Okay.
So I'm hungry. I want to nourish. Well, what happened? I quit cold turkey because I went, and it wasn't I was slowly going to cut down. I stopped on my birthday and said, I am not going to eat anymore. I'm going to nourish, which is a form of eating. Smart. I didn't like looking at the cookies anymore. I didn't like looking at the cakes. I used to crave that stuff. Suddenly, salads, fruits, healthy foods, meats, all the stuff that is organic or natural is incredible for you. I went to those. That became what I wanted. But this is where people go, well, it's more expensive to eat good and healthy. What happens is the impact of that processed food, the sugars, the chemicals that are in it that stop our brain communicating with the gut and the gut to the brain, we end up eating more. We crave more. We need more because we get addicted to the taste of the chemicals in the food, thinking it's the food. Once I stopped doing that, my portions got less. I wasn't saving money. I was spending about the same amount of money, but I was eating healthier and my body weight dropped. I dropped about 25 pounds in weight. And like I said, a huge amount. My visceral fat went from a 9 to a 3. So if I can give anybody a tip, just replace the word eat with nourish. And I'm not going to say you're going to do what I did. I'm not asking you to be me. I never would. But if occasionally you say, you know what, I want to nourish, you'll see everything changes. And suddenly the weight just starts coming off. But even more importantly, the fat weight starts coming off, which is not healthy for us. Anyway,
how long does it take someone to change their, not want to say not even mindset, their taste buds to make that salad taste better than that burger?
Yeah, so I would say 72 hours for me has been the where I begin to not crave it. It doesn't mean to say I don't walk down. I'll go past and I'll smell a McDonald's and go, God, that smells good, because we
so
know.
Horrible.
Yeah.
We don't know it smells good. It's gonna suck later. It's gonna be painful later.
Yeah. So you still have that memory of in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the memory.
It's not healthy for me, and it's tempting. But that's where I go down to, and we'll come to this in the minute. Once you changed your taste buds, it's very easy. And I've been there in the past. You've been off it for 6 months. You taste it. It doesn't taste great the first time. There's too much sugar. Or there's too much. You don't feel good. But then you want it again. Then you turn around, and that addictive quality comes back in again. And so then you get hooked on it. Then you go off of it. Then you come back. So we'll come to this and I'll bring this up. Number 5 is exercise. We know exercise is critical to longevity. People that smoke and exercise will have a healthier, longer life than those that don't smoke and don't exercise.
Wow.
Go figure that out. This is, again, research proven, because it's critical. I'm not telling people to go smoke and exercise. People that don't.
You gotta test that out there, Dan.
Yeah. I'm not sending people out there. But that's how critical it is to exercise. And sitting at a desk for 8 hours and not moving is similar to smoking. So, a little tip: if you're at a desk all day, stand up every hour and do 10 deep knee squats. It's like going for a slow 5-10 minute walk. So just get that impact of the neurological activation and cellular movement, which is critical. This is number 6. This is the one I teach first, even though it's 6th in mine, it's mindset. And this is where I get my specialty is brain remapping for thought. And I'll tell you why. Back in 2018, I was out on a bike ride. I used to race the Ironman after I'd gone through my paralysis, and I was racing on bike teams and having a great time. A guard-gated community, metal gate, came down on my head, going through it, knocked me unconscious immediately. I was out. I had a double impact because I was knocked by the metal gate on my frontal lobe left.
Okay.
Went backwards, hit the cerebellum enough to break my helmet open. I was unconscious for close to 3 minutes. Part of my brain died. I had to learn to talk again, learn to function, learn to move. And so it became my own survival again, because I went through depression, PTSD, putting on a ton of weight. My brain would just stop. I'd be talking, I'd just stop and freeze. And I didn't know I had frozen. And people would say, Dan, do you know what just happened? I'd be like, no. Or I'd be sitting there and I'd keel over sideways because my brain would shut down. So I studied the brain. And when I studied the brain and going through the PTSD and the depression and the eating, and nobody really truly helping me, I'm just a number. I'm a case. Oh, your brain went, okay, take this. And I wouldn't take drugs for it or anything. I went and studied and understood the importance of mindset and who we are. And that's where I would say my greatest strength is, whether I've got these professional athletes or CEOs that I coach and train, or someone in their 90s that I coach and train. Mindset is the beginning. It's kind of a generic, la-di-da word. But what is it really? How do I rewire the brain to think differently? Because all of us can. And we're seeing it in society today more than ever. The more you believe, and on the political side, people that are extreme on both sides are becoming more extreme and less likely to come together. And those in the middle that just want to find a solution, that are peaceful, that want to care for everybody, their mind is getting strained and struggled by the constant pull left and right. That's the power of messaging.
Mm-hmm.
Do that as a community or as a society. Imagine what we can do when we can do it for ourselves. And
Positive
that's
way.
where it starts again. Yeah. So
And it goes back to your nervous system too, right? Where the nervous system is really affected by either visual, auditory, taste, whatever it might be. It just still goes back to the brain. So then it gets you rewire things in any way possible, good or bad, doesn't matter. It's almost like, how do you want to increase the positivity in your body? At that point, it kicks out the health of a healthier state of your body.
Oh, absolutely. We don't. Science has been fantastic in discoveries in the last really 15 years as to the impact of the environment and everything that we're going through. Whether it's happened, look, I'm not bringing up anything new. We all know the food quality is not the same, the air quality is not the same, the environment's not the same, communities are not the same. We're being isolated or separated, which has become a challenge for us. But everything we allow to pass this barrier, whether it's through our skin, whether it's through our breathing, whether it's through our mouth, eating, whatever it is, it's contaminating us more than ever before. And our filtration system in the body can only handle so much. And so if we give it the right tools, it can perform better. And that's everything, because when it passes the blood-brain barrier, anything we put in our body is going to affect our brain. Our brain is our power force in life, and our heart is that life force with the oxygen. Take care of those two and feed them with love. And that's what we're giving it and our thought process. And you will flourish more.
And when someone does that, what does it take them, I guess, time-wise, to start doing that in a positive and loving themselves more to see the physical effect on their body? What's the time frame, I guess? Everyone's different.
Yeah. Again, it depends where you're starting from. It depends on your history. It depends what you've lived already. But this is what I love to say. We're not defined by what we've done. It's what we do with what we've done that will be our legacy. And so I'm not looking for the quick fix. I'm looking for the fix, right? The end result. There is no time frame, but there's steps. Now, this goes back to the eating. You said, how long does it take somebody to lose that taste and desire to not have that food that may not be good, or we know is not good for us? What we lack often is the consistency and discipline to stay in the program long enough that it becomes our subconscious or our natural, right? Because we have these subconscious habits that always come up, and we do them without conscious thinking. We have to take the subconscious and make it conscious and then repeat it until it becomes and replaces the past subconscious with the new. There's something I talk about that's very controversial. I'm not going to bring it up here because it's a much longer conversation. But most of the time, we're not established in who we are and what we want. And that's because the goal isn't great enough for us to commit to it. The saying that I love, a goal has to be greater than the effort it takes to achieve it, or we'll quit. Right? So when we go to mindset, I teach people, how do we create the character, the discipline, the self-belief that it's better on the other side, and I'm willing to go through that recovery process. We know with drug addicts how they have to go into these rehabilitation centers, and they're going to go through a really bad time before they come out the other side. They go through it, and many of them then go back and go back to the drugs again, because there's something else that's missing in their life. It's not that they don't have the power. Well, it's the same with all mindset. It's not about drugs or addiction. It's about, who are we? And when we can tap into that and ignore the noise, the negative noise around us, or the messaging from our own past that's saying, just do it once, just do it. When we can address that and take responsibility for our actions and then be proud of ourselves, the pride and the dopamine and the serotonin, BDNF, all the different chemicals will make us feel better than any drug or any food will ever make us. We just have to take the journey. And then I help people literally to get through that process and come out and be everything they're born to be.
So they enjoy that last portion, allows them to feel the dopamine effect, the adrenaline, the happiness, I want to call it, in their life by, even though that may be good over there, but this is better for me now. This is where I want to stay.
Yes, so much of this comes from peer reactions. We have mirror neurons. If I came in here really depressed and down talking to you, and you were really up, whoever had the stronger emotion would affect the other. So if I'm kind of open, I'm kind of down, but it's okay, and you came in happy, you can lift me up. But if I'm really depressed and negative, and then you come in kind of happy, I will pull you down. We know there's this energy exchange all the time. Well, part of what we get is when we go through that struggle, and then we rise to higher levels that other people often will criticize us for because we're exposing that they're not willing to do the work. So they try and pull us down. What happens when we go through it? We find a community that respects us. And secretly, those people that try to pull us back admire us. And when you do that, you have a responsibility to yourself and to the journey and the mission and those that are watching to realize, look at the impact I am, not I have, the impact I am. And when you can achieve that, Dr. Tony, it makes all the things that are pulling you to the side no longer attractive. It's not easy. Don't get me wrong. If it was easy, we'd all be doing it. But if you really want to have that happiness of yourself and self-pride and making decisions that are good for you, it can be done. You just need to have the support, but you also need to have the pathway.
And I like that it's a combination, right? It's not just the book or the ideas, the theory. It's almost like I got to get through. I call it getting through the suck of getting better, and then you can see the result. And that may take you 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, a year. But are willing to put the work in, no matter how bad you feel, to get that result of feeling internally happy again.
And that comes to number 7. It's a perfect segue into challenges, right? Like you just said, when we get to a certain point, we then get the results through the suck, as you call it. If that's the case, what got us there was the challenge. We had to go through something. Think about when we were kids. We'd try and stand and learn to walk, and we did, and we'd laugh, and suddenly it opened up the world, and we're now flourishing. Then we'd see maybe a climbing frame. We'd try and climb this climbing frame, and the parents kept pulling us off. No, you're going to get hurt. Well, in those days, they didn't. They're like, yeah, get to the top. Yeah, but we were constantly looking for challenges. We wanted new things. All the way through, probably till we were 20, even into our mid-20s, we looked at new challenges. And then slowly, the walls got built around us by the career choices that we made, the career options that came to us, and then we were limited. So we don't build walls. We have walls built around us, and we stop playing. So again, for me, aging is the excessive pursuit of sedentary comfort, not comfort, because you can go out, run 10 miles, come back and sit on a beautiful sofa. That's comfort. It's sedentary where we're not moving. And so we need to come up again with challenges that invoke those same emotional reactions and desire for us to then progress in life. So I see someone that's 90 running a marathon. I see someone at 60 that can't get out and walk. It's not the fact that they're less, it's that they haven't given themselves targets or goals. So I teach dream biggest. Like someone said, I just want to get up and walk around the block. I just love to be able to walk around the block. I said, that's not enough, because that's not a goal that you're going to sacrifice your comfort for, because it doesn't mean enough. But if you said, I remember when I was 25, I went over to Hawaii and I walked to, through the road of Hana to the 7 pools, right over in Maui. Yep. I wish I could do that again. Great. You can do that again. But to get there, you're going to walk around that block. That's just part of the process. So what you thought was your goal isn't strong enough, because it doesn't mean anything. So you've got to take challenges that either light you up because of the past, or like my mother, fulfill a dream that you were told could never happen. Who would say you'd take your first ballet class, which was a dream as a little girl, at the age of 84? People say it's impossible. It's not possible. You're too old. And yet once we went there and she did it, boy, did she lighten up. This was after her stroke. When she went and did it change the impact that age is not the reason. We've said it already. So challenges, make things that light you up. Often we can go back and put music on, and music that, if it's something we've done before. I remember when I was playing the lead in Andrew Lloyd Webber shows, we toured Japan, and I was there for 10 months, and I listened to Phil Collins the whole time. So when Phil Collins comes on, it reminds me of the great time of that. When I came to America, it was Guns N' Roses, my first year, driving down PCH and Guns N' Roses and Axl going. So music reinvigorates those emotions in us. So if you've got something you want to attach something to it that you lived before, attach music, read a book, watch a movie, do the type of things that you did during that time, and then it will lighten you up and go, well, I can't do it. Yes, you can. I'm too old. No, I'm not. I'm not saying you can do it at the same level, but you can do it again. And when you do, there's even more dopamine release, because dopamine, serotonin is the happy drug, dopamine is the reward. When we turn around and we do something that we never thought we'd do again, that dopamine release of pride, if I did it, then opens more doors to say, what else could I do now? Unless you're willing to let go and decline and expire.
I tell people too, it's not age related. It's the average person will not. Do you want to be the average, or do you want to be better than the average? You want to be, and they said even music too, like it's a great example, nostalgic of what you did before, but can you do it again? Yes, maybe, like I said, maybe not the same pace. You may not, if you ran a 3-hour marathon before, you may do it in 3:45. Woohoo. But you've done it. You've done the result of getting that done for you. So you know you can actually physically do it, but it takes the work to get there.
Yeah, and you've done what people said was not possible, which is greater than being expected to run a 3-hour marathon. You've also done things that you didn't believe you would do again, but you're willing to take the steps. And that's why I say, I can tell a real quick story. When I was racing the Ironman up in Canada, I was standing on the, Lake Okanagan is where the swim happens, 2.4 mile swim, and they play the Canadian national anthem. They fire the cannon over the top, which is the sign that we're going to start. There's about 2,000 people that go running in the lake and then start the triathlon, the Ironman. I was close to the front at the beginning, and someone pushed me underneath the water. Their hand went in the back of my wetsuit, pushed me under. I couldn't come up. There's 2,000 people swimming behind me. Well, there was some in front of me, so let's go 1,900 behind me. I couldn't come up, and I knew I was going to drown. At that point, I couldn't get up. There's these bodies. There's nowhere to come up, and I began to just give up. And I went into this peaceful mode of it's over. I didn't think I was going to, end here. And then suddenly, because I went to a peace, calm place, I saw this hole of like a couple of bodies. So I slowly went there. When I broke the water, it wasn't calm. I was now, my nervous system on fire and breathing. But then I didn't want to continue. I'm like, I'm done. I'm out of here. But slowly sitting in the water, I was able to then get back into the right mindset, had a great swim, had a great Ironman, finished fantastic. But on the way, I saw people that had crashed on their bike. I saw blood. I saw ambulances carrying people off. A mile from the finish line, a guy there was two of us running about a mile at this point because it was so spread out. And this guy next to me completely froze. His body went into complete cramps. And I didn't stop to help him. I'm shouting those big crowds, hey, come and help him. He fell on the ground. I didn't know what would happen to me if I stopped, but I knew there were people there to help if there wasn't help. I crossed the finishing line. I stayed on for 7 hours. More than 30% of people that race the Ironman will go to the medical tent at the end of the race. I stayed. I saw the last person. I helped them to the medical tent. I got my bike. I biked back to the hotel. It was incredible. Loved it. But what I learned that day, I believed anyone that crossed the finishing line was a champion. Right? The winner's the first one. Anyone that crossed was. But that day changed it. Yeah. Because those people that crashed, those people that froze, those people that couldn't finish, they were no less a human than I was. What I learned that day is anybody that's willing to step over the start line with a goal, but not knowing the journey ahead is already a champion. Because most people will sit and comment on everyone working. They'll sit and criticize those that are doing it, but they won't actually step over the start line themselves, which is what you're talking about, average. Right? So if you're willing today, anyone listening to this that has a goal, a health issue, as something you know you should be doing, just step over the start line, not knowing the journey ahead. You are a champion ahead of the vast majority because you're taking action.
It's amazing when you put it that way. It's like you're the top. I want to say not even compared to somebody else. You're the top percent for yourself by just taking that challenge on to go. I want to take the risk of never finishing, even though I know the journey is going to be hard.
Yep, because it's very easy to criticize everybody else when you're not doing the work. Everyone's the expert, but you know what? The fulfillment of trying. There's a thing that I love. It's impossible to fail if you try, and it's impossible to lose if you learn. Not every business venture is a success, but what you learn from it helps your next venture until you crack the code of what you're great at and what is going to work. We look at it in business and understand it. Well, we need to look at it in health. We need to look at it in wellness. We need to look at it in functionality and movement and balance. When we try something and it doesn't work, you're not a failure. You haven't lost. You say, hey, that wasn't for me. Great example. People say, go to the gym and work out. I'm the opposite. Go to the gym and work out if you love it. If you don't, find what you love. Put the music on at home and dance.
Yeah.
Get yourself moving. If you love to hike, you don't need to put the music on at home. You go out and hike. Whatever you love, do it. And don't listen to other people that tell you what you should do. Listen to why they're asking you to do it, and then find your way that you enjoy, because then you will stick to it. And I'm a big believer here, which a lot of people may disagree with me. It's better to be happy and unhealthy than super healthy and super unhappy. But you can have both. So you can be super healthy and super happy when you do what you love. Just find people that will help you get through the sticking points and become the person that you know inside nobody else is seeing, and you're giving up on them.
It's amazing when you put yourself in that, I want to say, positive isolation a point to where this is what I'm going to do no matter what. I think that's the key. As we wrap things up too, Dan, what is a good takeaway? You mentioned thousands of them already in the show, to get someone started into their journey of improving their health, their life, and finding their past challenge they want to bring to the present?
I ask people to go back and think about when they were babies or young children, and how they dreamed, and how the world was open for them, and how incredible that mindset, that openness, that lack of restriction allowed them to enjoy life for themselves. Self-love is not selfish, it's essential. If you can tap back into the dreams, if you can tap back into that person that's still inside you and let go of other people's opinions, don't allow yourself to be judged by those that don't care about you. And if they care about you, they won't judge you.
There you go.
And so invest into you. Whatever you invest into, you will get more back. Love yourself. Age is not the reason, but tap back into that person that's unheard, unseen, that's now been hidden away inside you, and make a commitment to be you again.
Amazing. You're going to help a lot of people in the future. You have thousands of people already. I appreciate you being on my show.
Thank you. So it's an honor for me, Dr. Stone. Like I said, when I read your Yelp reviews, it made me even more excited to be on here, because I know the man you are.
I'll make sure I pay them well in their future premiums for that Yelp review. And I have all your links in my show notes, your websites, your social media too. Follow Dan. I saw your YouTube videos too on how the total body balance trainer actually works. Phenomenal. How do you order that? How does that process go?
You can go to totalbalancecompany.com.
That's our website. Okay.
Totalbalancecompany.com and look at them on there. And again, it works because you work, not you do the work, you work. In other words, your system is working. We're going to tap in. And this, like I said, we've got people, professional athletes, and we've got people 100 years old using it. This isn't a product for a moment. This is something you can use for life. Your whole family can use. You can use it while you're watching TV, over 300 exercises, and it's super fun. It's challenging. and you'll feel that release. So I would ask people, go on the website, totalbalancecompany.com, and go to how it works and watch. I got a 20-minute video where I take excerpts from Dr. Andrew Huberman, who is a scientist up in Stanford University talking about it. So go study it. It's all about you.
I'll put it in the show notes. I'm going to add that to show notes too after as a comment so people can see that separately also. Dan, thank you. Quick smile for the thumbnail. I appreciate it, my friend. Hold on 1 second. Me end the show. Thanks for watching, my friends.